So in my own, in the recapture, all of that saga of recapture, see, they closed that, or did a travel restriction in 2007. So for 3 years I was working on this group, cooperating agencies group with the BLM. Rose Chilcoat was one of those who was there advocating, for closing the canyon. And when Dr. Red was killed and they did the raids, she came out very strongly about, that it was just a slap on the wrist, that we needed harsher punishments. And then when recapture happened, she came out, they did a big video out in recapture about Phil Lyman and how he should have just laid on the ground and said, I'm civil disobedient and I want to be arrested and arrest me. Well, there's a difference between civil disobedience and peaceful legal protest, and we were protesting. Anyway, so we come up to 2017, and one of the cattle ranchers down here south of, in the south end of the county, caught on his trail cam some people that were shutting the access to his water troughs, to his cows. This is in the middle of summer, and he caught it on camera and was down there a few days later, and the car came back again, and so he went over and blocked them, called the sheriff's office, blocked them from leaving. Come to find out it's Rose Chilcoat and her husband, the same Rose Chilcoat that was pushing for all of these harsh penalties. She didn't miss a day of my trial up in Salt Lake. She was there every day. She was writing letters to the Department of Justice asking for the harshest penalties that they could impose, and spinning this narrative of vandals and looters and grave robbers in San Juan County. And so it's pretty ironic that she ends up being charged with cattle endangerment and harassment. That wasn't quite enough for her, so she went to the BLM and asked them to cancel the permits for Mr. Odell and all of his ranching, which equated to witness tampering and intimidation. So she got hit with another charge there, and she's going to court. She was supposed to have gone to court here in May, but they got a stay. They got the venue moved from San Juan County up to Carbon County, which I don't think is going to make any difference. And hopefully Rose will get a chance to tell her story in court, because right now things don't look very promising for her as far as what the crimes that she's committed and her response to those crimes. Well, maybe I can talk a little bit in the context of recapture. The reason that recapture is important to the city of Blanding is because of its proximity to the town. It's close. People can get on an ATV in Blanding, do a loop out through recapture, and be back in Blanding. Depending on which loop they take, it can be an hour, up to a day-long loop out through what is really a beautiful canyon. There's a lot of archaeology, which is a huge interest to people. And so you have this effort from a town to say, maybe we could take care of the people that come here to visit, the tourists, and we could promote this a little bit, and people could appreciate it and enjoy it and see it. Well, those are the things that the BLM seems, and maybe not even the BLM, but SUA, especially the folks from Colorado, some of the people in Utah that are in what I call the industrialized tourism industry. They don't want to see a community like Blanding kind of pull themselves up by their bootstraps and take advantage of these recreation and tourism opportunities. When they designated the monument, we said, designating this monument is going to bring a huge amount of attention and visitation to an area that you've already said is fragile, it's sacred. It seems like an odd tool to use if you want to protect the sacredness and the fragility of these artifacts, to designate it a monument. But that's what they did, and it certainly has brought people to the area. Our restaurants are busy, our hotels are full. I like the tourism industry. I think it's a great industry. The narrative is the thing that really bothers me, the narrative that the people in Blanding, people in southern Utah, are disrespectful of their own backyards, of the thing that most of them, that's why they live here. So I'd love to see the tourist dollars continue. That said, when we're talking about funding our schools through the state trust lands, through the minerals, the federal mineral money that comes back to the schools, one good oil well will produce revenues for the schools more than the whole tourism industry combined in San Juan County. Not to say that it produces as many jobs and the economy overall is benefited by tourism. When you're talking about money for schools, money for infrastructure, money to run the county on, the extraction industries bring, exponentially more to the counties. The uranium industry. You've got the Arizona Strip. It's worth $26 billion to southern Utah, northern Arizona, and it's being just completely shut down. And that's money that affects these small towns like Kanab and Escalante and Blanding and Fredonia. When those jobs go away, and when that revenue, that mineral revenue goes away, you see the schools really suffer. When I was in high school, we'd get off the bus and they would hand us $5 for our meal. Now, when our kids go, they're having to pay for their own hotel rooms and buy their own meals and chip in a little bit more, and the parents are having to pay $500-600 at the beginning of the season just to support it, and that's a big difference. And that's the difference between a vibrant economy versus one that's been hamstrung by all these restrictions. Yeah, San Juan County is one of those counties that it needs to be motorized because it's so vast. You can hike, but you'll just get on the outskirts of these places. You can talk to Mike Noel about this. What the BLM does after that, then they go through the files and they try to eliminate any paperwork that indicates that those roads ever did exist, so that when someone comes back to prove them, he calls it paper in the file. They get rid of those. They obliterate the roads. That's what they were doing to recapture. The narrative now is that it was illegally constructed in 2006. I'm willing to take a stand for that, and this is the other tactic that SUA takes, is if you're going to express some factual basis why these roads should exist, then you probably will end up getting audited by the IRS. Your business will be smeared. They get on and they write bad reviews. I'm a CPA here in Blanding, and these guys will get on and write these bad reviews about my business. They've never been there. They don't know me. They write articles, get petitions. It's just amazing what depths that equal access to justice money that they come at you with. It's a disease, and it desperately needs a cure. As an elected official, we had the government shut down in 2013. The feeling was exactly what you just described of they can turn our economy off like a switch. It's like, well, we need to embrace tourism and let extraction go and just put all of our eggs in the tourism basket. Well, they've shown that they can turn that off like a switch. October 1st, 2013, it was lights out. And down at Aramark, Lake Powell, they laid off 300 people. Those 300 people that were trying to put away some money to make it through the winter and pay their mortgage and put food on their table. And, it's a very real hit. I called down there to the manager to kind of say, hey, what's going on? Why are you doing these layoffs? And he was, on the brink of a breakdown because of how traumatic it was for him to have to lay off all those people. And we went down there and said, in several of the counties, these southern counties, said, we don't need the federal government in order to be able to go out and enjoy our public land. We can do that. Lake Powell's still there. It doesn't belong to the federal government, it belongs to the people, and we're going to go enjoy it. And one of the reports that came back from the BLM, in Washington, D.C., the head honcho said, we're not going to turn management of our parks over to a bunch of Boy Scouts. And when I heard that, I called up our scoutmaster. I said, get the Boy Scouts ready. We're going out in the morning to open up natural bridges and show them that we can run this park with a bunch of Boy Scouts and probably do a better job of it. Fortunately or unfortunately, the governor stepped in and said, no, hold off, Phil. And then the next day, he had come up with $15 million to pay the federal government to allow Utahns to go back to work. The whole thing was just amazing. But this idea that not only they have the ability, but the proclivity to damage your economy with absolutely no consultation with the local elected officials or the people. That's a scary thing. And that's why you can't put all your eggs in the tourism basket. And if it's on public land, they'll shut that down too.